The first night of Tony's stay, I woke up in the middle of the night and Megan wasn't in the bed beside me. She doesn't usually get up in the middle of the night to go to the toilet.
Megan has an incredibly strong bladder. I mean, sometimes it seems like she goes days without using the toilet. Although I've never actually kept a diary of it. She won't let me.
Both of them in his sights. I couldn't sleep. Those words just kept ringing around in my head. I was starting to think that this wasn't just some sex freak. It was a homicidal maniac, chatting casually to his cult leader about our impending sacrifice. I had to take precautionary measures.
I tiptoed across the landing and inserted the key into Tony's door. Very slowly, making as little noise as possible, I started to turn the key. Everything was going fine until...
Megan, what are you doing?
Megan jumped, banging into the door and sending it swinging open. We both froze. We stared into the darkness of the spare room, wondering if Tony would wake up to find us standing there, staring into his room in the middle of the night.
Nothing moved, so Megan reached out and pulled the door closed again. We both breathed a sigh of relief, and then Megan turned the key in the lock. What are you doing?
Just locking him in. I was just locking him in.
She was just locking him in. What was she talking about? You can't lock our guest into his room.
It's just for safety. I'll unlock it first thing in the morning. He won't even notice. I promise.
What if there's a fire? Megan, what is going on?
Look, I'll admit it. I may have been a bit foolhardy in my first assessment of Tony. I think he might be a homicidal maniac who wants to murder us in our beds. But before you say anything, let's just establish one thing. Did you see a bear trap in there? Ian looked at me, stunned.
What? No. I didn't see anything like that in there. Where is this coming from? He's not a homicidal maniac. He's our guest that you're locking into his room. That's got to be one of the worst feedback comments that you can get. Was held captive.
Now that Cian was staring at me at 3 o'clock in the morning on our landing while I was locking a man into our spare room, I was finding it a bit hard to remember all the reasons for my suspicions. But there are noises and his eyes are very, very mean.
Megan, give me the key.
Megan handed me the key and went back into our room. I shook my head and leant over and unlocked the spare room again, and that's when I heard some breathing behind me. I turned round to find Tony returning from the bathroom. Turned out he'd been in the bathroom the whole time. I guess he had a less secure bladder than Megan had. I didn't know what to say, so I just turned to him and started talking. Hey, Tony, how you gotten on? I just needed to check that your door wasn't locked, you know. Fire and safety rules these days. No, that doesn't seem to be locked. Okay, well, I'll leave you to it. See you tomorrow. I left Tony and went back into our room. I waited a moment and then I opened the door again to check to see if he'd gone back to bed.